Let's begin. Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators of this beautiful practice. And for the month of September, we have been exploring qualities that define habit energy. There are several, and we've chosen 4. And I'll be talking about that in our practice tomorrow and Friday. But on Wednesdays, we do something a little unique. And that is that we highlight Zen masters and we study their work. We have explored the work of Suzuki Roshi, Roshi Joan Halifax, Thich Nhat Hanh. And now, for many weeks, we have been exploring a very famous book called The Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, written by an 8th century monk, Shantideva. And we have been in chapter 6, and we're exploring the cultivation of patience. The chapter title is called Relying on Patience. So what I'd like to do in a very quiet practice today, I'm feeling the need for some stillness and some silence. Oh, partially because I have had to cultivate quite a bit of patience bearing witness. And what I've been bearing witness to on a very personal level is my youngest child has gone off to college, and the transition's been very, very challenging, and a lot of emotion and a lot of stress and bewilderment. And there's not much I can do. This is really something that she has to navigate. She has to go through. She has to discover her own agency and her resiliency. She has to stumble and fumble. She has to get up and figure it out. And at the same time, I have to stay on my side of the boundary, my side of the balaklohe. And I have to fight every fiber of my being to jump over that wall and get into her space and walk her hand in hand to her classes and mama bear just the shit out of her pathway. I can't do that. I have to get out of the way. I have to just bear witness. And it takes so much patience, friends. Oh my goodness. Whoo. One of the things that we encounter regularly on the journey that is life, and even the journey of recovery, is this dissonance between what is and what we think should be, or what we wish could be. So here we are in a recovery meeting, and maybe we don't have as much abstinence as we want. Maybe we have more cravings than we thought. Maybe we're still engaged in some kind of habit energy that feels like a disappointment. We're not where we want to be. Where we are, what is not meeting our expectation. And it's very frustrating and disappointing. So what happens is we have to, as Shantideva encourages, we have to rely on patience. Because what else is there to do? What are the other options? Let's play with that for a moment. I'm where I am. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I think I should be. And I'm mad about it. I'm frustrated. So one of my options is I could hammer myself into shape. I could yell at myself and berate myself. I could guilt trip and shame myself. I could humiliate myself. I could sabotage my success options. I could also do something really radical, and I could be patient. I could make space for a little acceptance. I'm not where I thought. I'm not where I want. I am where I am. Maybe I could cultivate a little bit of trust. Maybe where I am is by life's design, the fate's design, a design outside of me. And maybe I can trust that. Maybe there's some kind of soulful force conspiring for my okayness. Maybe I could just simply entertain that. So today, the focus of our practice is that internal voice that is not satisfied with what is. And let's stand before that disappointed part of ourselves with a wise version of ourselves that says, yep, I'm not where I want to be, and still I'm okay. This is something that Shantideva wrote. People do not think, I will get angry. They just get angry. And anger does not think, I will arise. It just arises. All the shortcomings there are and all the various non-virtues arise through the force of other conditions. They do not govern themselves. I'm just going to leave it there. It's a curious thought, friends, isn't it? To just sit for a moment and think, I'm going to feel really disappointed today just because. I'm going to, I'm just going to greet this moment pissed off. And if we really think about it, those feelings sort of are there, they arise, and then we have to feed them. We have to participate in the conditions that support those feelings. And they're strong, particularly if we have a propensity and a habit energy to be quite negative. We have a habit of feeding those thoughts. This is going to be terrible. This is going to be miserable. This is going to be really hard. This is going to suck. And then, of course, it does. It's miserable. It's hard. It sucks. But instead, if we can start practicing with a little patience, wait a minute. Whoa, 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 wait. Maybe I'm going to be okay. And maybe okayness will arise and the conditions supporting being okay will reveal. It doesn't have to be great. Okay is good enough. We may not be where we want to be, but all the while we're making the steps toward those aspirations. And the thing that supports this is patience. And the way to access patience is to simply create a little bit of silence and a little bit of stillness. So let's spend some time cultivating that condition. And we're just going to use the body as an anchor. And what I'd encourage you to do is find a posture in your body that puts you at ease. So it may mean lying down, it might even mean falling asleep. And please know that's perfectly fine. The journey of recovery and the brain's uh, need to heal requires a lot of rest. And when you feel settled in your body, bring your attention to the way you're breathing. And you'll hear a lot of meditation instructors tell you, don't judge. And I want to flip that around and I want to give you permission and encourage you to judge. Go for it. Be fearless. Entertain all your judgments. Label them, identify them. Don't be scared. They're just judgments. And notice if you have a propensity to judge more negatively than positively, because remember, we have the capacity for both. You can judge yourself for sitting nice and tall. You can judge yourself for breathing with ease. You can judge yourself for feeling irritated and annoyed. With a little bit of patience and a little bit of non attachment, just identify what is happening for you. Be real about it. Don't worry. And if you are worried, then worry away and remind yourself that you're also okay. And breathe. Breathe in. Breathe out. Please know that a practice that slows down to this degree requires a great deal of patience and a level of skill to stay with it. So if you're with me now and you're practicing, just bravo. Well done. Keep breathing. Keep going. Enjoy your practice. Friends, I'd like to bring us toward a conclusion of our meditation with a broad perspective of patience. And that is that Buddhism in the West is still fairly new. And so it's very important to emphasize that the fact that you're here practicing and coming into the awareness of the three jewels, the Buddha, the human being who lived 2,600 years ago, who was able to really understand the conditions of his own misery and suffering, so much so that he was able to translate and see and truly understand the suffering of others in general. He's dedicated 40 years of his life to teach about it, to guide people through and out of the confusion and impatience and impulsivity and habit energy. We know it as the Dharma. And he knew that one of the most essential ways of really stirring it up, really revealing our challenges, is to come into community, the Sangha. And not only does community stir up our challenges, it also is this impeccable and unwavering place of support and encouragement. So the fact that you have come here and you are in the presence of the three jewels, this is because this is a direct reflection of your patience, of your good karma, of all of the positive, beautiful things that you've done in your life. Now, those words may land as opposition to maybe your own experience. Maybe you're here because you've had a DUI and the court is making you come here. Maybe you're here because this is your third or fourth or fifth time through treatment. Maybe you're here because a traditional program of recovery wasn't working and you feel desperate. All of that is true. It can be true. And it's still not the whole truth, because the whole truth is to come into the presence of something that is so unique in the West means you have done something really, really well, beautiful, powerful. You have engaged your life with curiosity, patience, wonder, presence. These are qualities and virtues of profound healing. And I want to thank you for bringing that here to this space in this practice. Your healing heals us all. And what an extraordinary blessing that is. Thank you, friends. Friends, I want to thank you for your beautiful practice today. And for those of you who are new to the Buddhist practice, we end our practice with a dedication. And this dedication is a moment of reflection. It is a time to recognize, to really sit with the goodness of coming to this practice. You know, there's a lot of habit energy going around that really has this propensity to poo-poo our efforts. Yeah, whatever. I went to a meeting, I had to check a box, and, I fell asleep, and it's no big deal. The dedication of merit is to remind you it is a big deal. You carved an hour of your day to be here today to practice. You dedicated this time to be with other people. Whether you learned something, whether you just had a moment of peace, these are really extraordinary things in very difficult times. So we take that in almost like an energy, like a warmth, if you can imagine, warming your body from the inside out and allowing it to become like a soul force. We dedicate this practice, therefore, to all of the people out there who have not been able to find their way to this practice, who are still lost in confusion, hostility, aggression, to anybody who's lost their freedom due to illness or incarceration, to anyone who is struggling with habit energy and illness, to anyone who is supporting a loved one through bearing witness to uncertainty. We dedicate the solidity and clarity of this practice to all living beings. May they and may we have a moment's peace, and may that peace inform the next moment and the next moment, and so on. Thank you so much for your practice, friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.